They say the firstborn is a gift. Promise. For me, I was more of a loan. A resource to be mined until there was nothing left. My name is Elijah, but my family never called me that. To them, I was Link, short for Lincoln, like I was named after the penny, because that's all I was ever worth to them. I was 18 years old when I learned exactly what they thought of me. But let me start from the beginning, or rather, from the end of everything I was willing to give. Since I graduated high school, I've not known a day in that house of rest. The house was always dark when I left. 5:47 in the morning, and I moved through that cramped kitchen like a ghost, packing a lunch I'd probably never get to eat. Dishes piled high in the sink from the night before. No one ever washed them. They just waited. For me, 2 jobs, a full-time college course load. Sleep was a luxury I couldn't afford, but the rent had to be paid. My younger brother, Caleb, needed new cleats for his elite soccer team, elite being code for expensive. My sister, Maya, needed money for her art supplies, which usually meant high-end makeup and new clothes for her Instagram photos. My father, Mark, worked construction when he felt like it. My mother, Patricia, hadn't worked in years. She said she was too stressed. So I worked. Morning shift at the coffee shop before my classes. Library in the afternoons, running on fumes and caffeine. Evening shift at a fancy restaurant as a busboy, clearing tables of food I couldn't afford to eat. Then home to a house that never slept but somehow never noticed me either. One night, I came home late, groceries in hand. Chicken, milk, eggs, bread. The basics. Things we actually needed. My mother was on the couch, scrolling through her phone. She didn't look up. "You're late. The dishwasher is broken again." "I know. I put in a work order. I also picked up chicken for dinner tomorrow." She finally glanced at the bag, her lip curling. "Chicken? Caleb has a game tomorrow. He needs proper fuel, not that dry stuff. We should order pizza. Get your card." Before I could respond, my father stomped down the stairs, a beer in his hand. "Link, my truck's making that noise again. You need to look at it this weekend. I can't afford a mechanic." I was exhausted. My eyes burned. I had a project due Monday that I hadn't even started. "I have a double shift at the restaurant this weekend, Dad. And a project due." He scoffed, waving his hand like I was swatting a fly. "Don't we all have things to do? While you're out making coffee for yuppies, I'm busting my hump at a construction site. The least you can do is fix the truck." Caleb wandered down then, earbuds in, not acknowledging anyone. He went straight to the fridge. "Yo, Ma, there's no soda." My mother turned to me, annoyed. "You forgot soda?" "Elijah, honestly." Something in me tightened. "I got milk, eggs, bread, and chicken. Things we actually need." From upstairs, Maya's voice rang out. "Mom, my phone bill is due. Tell Link to pay it." My father pointed at me with his beer bottle. "You hear that? Handle it." I tried to keep my voice even. "I just paid her last month's. And mine. And half the mortgage." That got her attention. My mother finally looked up, and her eyes were cold, hard, like I was a stranger who had overstayed his welcome. "Don't you dare throw that in our faces," she said. "You live here, don't you? You eat our food, use our electricity. It's the least you can do to help out. We're a family. We support each other. Right now, you're the one in a position to support more. Don't be so selfish." Selfish. That word was their favorite weapon. It meant I had kept $1 for myself. It meant I wanted 5 minutes to breathe. It meant I dared to exist as anything other than their provider. I didn't respond. I just put the groceries on the counter and walked to my room. It wasn't really a room, more of a closet with a mattress. I closed the door, leaned against it, and let my face crumple in silence. No one heard me. No one ever did. This is the part where clarity fell on me. A few weeks later, I found a way out. A paid tech fellowship in another state. Full ride, living stipend, and a guaranteed job after graduation. It was on the other side of the country. It was my future. I was in my room that night, hunched over my laptop, typing furiously on the application. If I got this, I was free. I could finally breathe. A frantic knock on my door. My mother's voice, sharp and demanding. Elijah, get out here. Now. I minimized the screen, my heart pounding for reasons I didn't understand yet. When I opened the door, the whole family was in the living room, looking at me with a mixture of accusation and expectation. My father held a piece of paper. What is this? He demanded. What is what? A notice from the bank. Our account is overdrawn. You forgot to put money in. I blinked. I put in my share on the first. Like I always do. My mother's voice dripped with venom. Well, it wasn't enough. Maya needed money for her school art trip. It was mandatory. And Caleb's team is going to regionals. We had to pay for his hotel. I was stunned. My share covers the bills. It doesn't cover extras. I told you my hours were cut at the coffee shop because of finals. Caleb whined from the couch. So I don't get to go to regionals because Link can't handle his money? Maya added, this is so embarrassing. My card got declined in front of everyone. My mother's voice shook with rage. Do you see what you've done? You've humiliated this family. We have always sacrificed for you. We gave you a roof over your head. And this is how you repay us? By being a burden? The word hung in the air like smoke. I felt the air leave my lungs. My father stepped forward. A burden. A grown man can't even manage a simple bank account. Your mother and I are tired of carrying you. You need to figure it out. Now, burden. They said it. They finally said it out loud. All those years of working, of giving, of being invisible, of sacrificing my sleep, my health, my youth, it didn't matter. I wasn't their son. I was the problem. Problem they wanted gone. And in that moment, something inside me just clicked off. The hope, the love, the desperate, childish need for their approval. It all went silent. The machine stopped. I looked at each of them. My father's smug anger. My mother's manufactured hurt. My siblings' bored entitlement. Like I was an inconvenience interrupting their evening. I saw them clearly for the first time. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I just nodded slowly. Okay, I said, my voice flat and calm. I'll figure it out. I turned and walked back to my room. I closed the door softly. I sat on my bed. I opened my laptop. I stared at the fellowship application. And then, with a single click, I hit submit. I wasn't going to fight anymore. I wasn't going to explain. I was going to leave. Not in anger, not with a dramatic scene they could twist into me being the villain. I was going to remove myself from the equation entirely. They thought me to be a burden? Fine. I'd lift the weight. Permanently. Over the next few weeks, I executed my plan with meticulous precision. I opened a new bank account at a different bank and had my paychecks redirected there. I quietly sold my textbooks, my old gaming console, anything of value. I stopped buying groceries for the house. When my mother asked why the fridge was empty, I simply said, I'm figuring it out. I let my phone service lapse. Maya complained she couldn't reach me. I said nothing. I stopped doing the dishes. I stopped fixing things. I stopped eating meals with them. I became a ghost in my own home. The night before I left, I packed one small, worn duffel bag. I looked around that tiny, suffocating room one last time. I took a single photo from a box, the only picture I had of me and my grandmother who passed away when I was young. The only person who ever made me feel like I mattered. I slipped it into my pocket. I left everything else. The clothes, the posters, the books. They could have it all. I placed a single envelope on the kitchen table. On it, I wrote Mom v. Dad. Inside was a piece of paper with 8 words. You were right. I was a burden. It's lifted. Don't look for me. Elijah. I walked out the door before dawn, just as I always had. But this time, I didn't look back. That morning, my mother came down for coffee. She saw the envelope and opened it, frowning. Mark, she called. What's this? My father read it and scoffed. Drama queen. He's probably at a friend's house, sulking. He'll be back when he runs out of money. He didn't take his things, she said. He'll be back. A week passed. His room was untouched. His calls went straight to voicemail. Caleb complained, who's gonna give me money for the movies? Maya whined. Mom, my card got declined again. This is Link's fault. A month passed. The landlord called. The rent was late. My mother's voice trembled on the phone. What do you mean? My son always. "Oh, I'll figure it out." For the first time, panic flickered across her face. My father had to work overtime. The dishwasher stayed broken. The truck's noise got worse. The house started to feel different. Quieter. Dirtier. Heavier. They didn't look for me. Not really. A few half-hearted texts. A couple of angry voicemails they deleted when I didn't respond. To them, I was a utility that had been cut off. An inconvenience. They didn't miss their son. They missed their checkbook, their handyman, their scapegoat. 7 years passed. I arrived in a new city with nothing but that duffel bag and the money from my sold possessions. I was scared, young, and completely alone. But I was also free. The fellowship changed everything. I threw myself into my work. I coded through the night. I impressed my professors. I landed internships. I graduated at the top of my class. I started a small tech company with 2 friends from the program. We worked out of a cramped apartment, surviving on instant noodles and sheer determination. Within 3 years, we sold our first product. Within 5, we were a household name in the industry. Magazine covers followed. 30 under 30. Tech disruptor, Elijah Marks. My face was everywhere. I bought a penthouse overlooking the city I had arrived in with nothing. I wore tailored suits. I shook hands with investors. I built an empire from the ground up. I built a life. Not from anger, but from the fuel it gave me. I took that word they gave me, burden, and I forged it into armor. Then I forged it into gold. I wasn't Link, the forgotten son, anymore. I was Elijah Marks. And I was free. I never hid. My success was public. My name was in every business journal. They could have found me with a simple Google search at any time. They never did. Until they needed something. 7 years after I walked out that door, my mother sat in their crumbling living room, scrolling through her phone. The house had decayed around them. The paint was peeling. The lawn was patchy. My father's truck had finally died. Maya had dropped out of art school. Caleb bounced between dead-end jobs. On the screen, an article glowed. Local tech mogul donates millions to city youth programs. Beside it, a picture of a smiling, successful man in a tailored suit. His eyes were clear. His jaw was set. He looked nothing like the exhausted boy who had left them. Maya whispered, "Oh my God, it's him." Caleb leaned in. "No way. That's not Link." My father read the words aloud, his voice hollow. Elijah Marks, CEO of, I can't even pronounce it, net worth. The number was incomprehensible to them. More zeros than they had ever seen. My mother's hand covered her mouth. "My son," she breathed. The silence in that room was thick with regret, envy, and a dawning, horrifying realization of what they had thrown away. Caleb spoke first, his eyes lighting up with greedy hope. "He's rich, our Link, so he can help us now, right? I mean, he's family." My father nodded, a flicker of his old arrogance returning. "Yeah. He probably just needed to blow off steam. He'll come around. He's still our son." My mother's voice was quiet, desperate. "We should call him. No, we should go see him. In person. Explain things. He'll understand. He has to." They didn't see the irony. They didn't see their own reflection in the words they spoke. They only saw the money. The next day, they stood in the lobby of my office building. A sleek tower of glass and steel that I owned outright. They looked small, old, worn. My assistant, Sarah, entered my office. "Elijah, there's a situation. Couple at the front desk. They say they're your parents. They're insisting on seeing you. Should I call security?" I looked up from my computer. A flicker of something crossed my face. Not anger, not pain, just a quiet, deep-seated weariness and a cold resolve. I had known this day might come, the day the silence broke. I had played this scene in my head 1,000 times. I wondered if I'd feel anger or sadness, or the desperate need for the apology I was owed. But sitting there, in the life I built with my own 2 hands, I felt nothing for them. Absolutely nothing. I turned back to my computer. I don't know those people, I said calmly. Sarah nodded, understanding completely. I'll handle it. Security is on its way. She left. I pulled up the security feed on my monitor. I watched as my parents gestured angrily at the security guard. My mother's face was a mask of entitled fury. My father tried to look imposing, but he just looked pathetic. They were looking for Link, their burden.